Man, it's a busy Saturday on the field and also bookending most of the games. Things will still be kind of winding down, Sam, as you guys are on the college football playoff show, but this just into the kickoff,
That's right.
90-minute expansion.
That's right, and everyone complains, well, there's no red zone in college football. We are going to give you the closest thing that you're going to find to a college football red zone show on Saturday starting at 7:30 Eastern time on the college football YouTube page.
That's Saturday, streaming live on YouTube. Again, the countdown to game day gets going at 8:30 a.m. But I mean, 'tis the season when we really start parsing what these results mean for the college football
100%.
playoff picture.
Yeah.
Who's in, who's out, who has their playoff life on the line each weekend. And with that in mind, there's nobody better with whom to speak than our college football playoff expert, Heather Dinich, who joins to give us an HD look at the playoff picture today. See what I did there? Yeah, joke. Heather, let's take a look at the 12-team projection today. And again, you see this through a lens better than anybody else. What do you see here?
Well, it's very important to look at, first of all, number 15, Boise State is ranked 15th, but they have the number 12 seed. Remember, this system rewards the 5 highest ranked conference champions. Boise State would be ranked outside of the committee's top 12 as the Mountain West Conference champion, though they would be in at the expense this week of Notre Dame. So Notre Dame gets bumped out because Boise State is rewarded for being a conference champion. The other two things I notice here are rematches. LSU and Alabama, Clemson and Georgia. The committee does not reseed to avoid rematches. So you can see these happening as the bracket plays out. And then the 4 highest ranked conference champions get the first round byes. And seeding is important every week because seeds 5 through 8 get first round home games. That's really important.
No question. I want to talk about 7 and 11 here on this graphic. Alabama and Tennessee, massive week in the SEC, obviously, Heather, but people are calling this a playoff elimination game. Personally, I think we're jumping the gun on that. It certainly makes the road a lot tougher for whoever loses this game to the college football playoff. But what does the outcome of this game mean for the loser of this game in terms of their route to the playoff?
Tennessee has less margin for error because of their schedule, and that includes Chattanooga and also University of Texas El Paso, UTEP, right? Those are things that the selection committee will put under the microscope when they're debating at-large teams. However, guys, as we sit here in mid-October, I refuse to eliminate any talented 2-loss team, and that's because no one, not even the selection committee who hasn't met yet, knows what this field is going to look like in late November. How many 2-loss teams are there going to be? The bottom line is contenders need some statement wins, and they've got to look the part of a national title contender. Can the loser of that game go on to do that? And that's on them, right? But clearly, Alabama is under a lot of pressure. Didn't look great in the win against South Carolina. Obviously, the loss to Vanderbilt. But that loss to Vanderbilt also has to be put into perspective in November. How bad was it? We don't know. What if they are above 500? Then it's not necessarily as bad as it looked on that day.
HD, I know we're a few weeks away from getting the first CFP rankings, but man, you just sit on your couch Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. It's Alabama, Tennessee.
My gosh. Yeah.
7:30 p.m. Eastern. You don't have to move. Texas and Georgia, part of a Texas takeover this weekend with the F1 race Circuit of the Americas. Heather, what impact would this game at DKR have come committee time as they're negotiating these rankings throughout November?
Well, let's not focus on Texas because they can afford to lose, obviously. Georgia's the interesting storyline here. If they lose, remember, they still have opportunities down the stretch to impress the selection committee against Ole Miss and Tennessee. If those teams are ranked on selection day, they're still going to be considered good wins. And Georgia also has that season-opening convincing win against Clemson. Guys, what if Clemson goes on to win the ACC? For Georgia to be able to say on Selection Day, we've got a regular season win against the ACC champs is huge in that committee meeting room when they're separating teams for those at-large bids.
Heather, this has been such an amazing year for like the expanded playoff. It's just been so fun. We got to talk about Army, Navy. We talk about all these other great scenarios. What team or teams are you keeping an eye on over the next couple of weeks that could really make a push into the college football playoff hunt?
Well, it starts with Boise State, and there's two reasons for that. One, this is a legitimately talented team. Ashton Genty is going to be in the Heisman conversation he is already, right? But they also lead the nation in sacks. They have the number 3 scoring offense in the country. They're passing the eye test, and their close loss at Oregon is probably the best loss in the country, especially after the Ducks just beat Ohio State. A good loss actually means something in the committee meeting room. But then you also have opportunities. Listen, they had Washington State, they've got Oregon State. They have chances to impress the committee down the stretch. They've got to win at UNLV. To me, it feels like this is the Broncos' playoff spot to lose. But don't forget about Army and Navy. You mentioned them. They're both undefeated. It's a fantastic story for the country, right? But their strength of schedule is an issue. They're both among the worst in the country. The committee will recognize that. The thing I think separates them by a hair right now is Navy beat Memphis. And Army doesn't have a win that good on its schedule. But also, don't count out two-loss Tulane, because their 2 losses are to power conferences. And how about Louisiana Monroe? They're doing a lot with a little, and I wouldn't count them out yet.
Well, and Army and Navy they both play Notre Dame, both neutral site. One of those at Yankee Stadium, the other at MetLife. And then, of course, man, how great would it be if it comes down to it in D.C. between what would it mean to those institutions and just those branches as well. Heather, always a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for giving us as much clarity as we can get here in the middle of October.